We can't hear you down the bottom.
Robin neither.
And
I've not met Robin either, but it was your emails and your thoroughness with your emails. You're amazing, Robin.
Thank you. Okay, so, all right, well, we'll get started. So, yeah, anyway, so welcome everyone to the introductory webinar on eating well for healthy aging. Claire Ho has very kindly offered to provide these workshops for us. Claire's an accredited practicing dietitian and founder of the nutrition practice Four Seasons Dietetics. She also works as a clinical dietitian at the SAN in Wahroonga. And during her career, Claire has given presentations on behalf of organisations such as Cancer Council, Nutrition Australia, and the Baker Heart and Diabetes Institute, and to raise awareness of healthy eating. Her philosophy is that optimal health requires a holistic and constantly evolving approach. So you will have received the information pack by email with, we had the welcome letter, Australian Guide to Healthy Eating, the brochure, the supermarket shopping hints, and the guide to setting smart goals, and the recipe cards. So if you
I don't know if I got that, Robin. I'll have to double check.
All right, I'll send, let me know, just email me and I'll send it to you again.
Okay.
So if you'd like printed copies, I just also email me and I'll get them organised, but I won't go into the office in the next week or so, so it'll probably be sometime next week. Okay, so yeah, because we're interactive, you're welcome to ask questions during the presentation, so just raise your hand so that Claire can respond. So I think that's all I need to say, so over to you, Claire.
All right, yeah, thanks very much, Robin. Hi, everyone, my name's Claire. Hi to everyone who just joined us. Welcome to our session today. So I'm really excited to kind of chat along with you guys for the next 4 weeks to talk all about nutrition, healthy eating, and a range of topics as well. So I do have a PowerPoint here, so I think I can share that on my screen. Is everyone able to see the PowerPoint? You can give me nods and yeah, all right.
Yes.
Okay. So as Robin said, this is a 4-week program. So a bit of an overview of what the 4 weeks look like is on this week, we might just do a bit more introductory in terms of the different food groups, the serving sizes required for your gender as well as your age, as well as a bit of overview about added sugar, added salt, and the dietary guidelines as well. So the information pack that Robin sent you would have something looking like this. You're able to get the physical copy if you wanted to. Just give Robin an email if you request that. But essentially, it's a summary of what we go through today, so you're able to refer back to it if you don't remember everything we talk about today. And then you would also perhaps receive also a poster looking like this. So it just goes through all the different food groups, which we'll be talking in detail about today. And then in the second week, we will be talking about the nutrition considerations for healthy aging. So this talks about bone health, joint health, as well as bowel health, which is quite important as we age as well. In the third week, we're going to go through a virtual supermarket tour, which is really exciting since it's COVID right now and we can't really physically go into the supermarket for too long. So I'm going to give you kind of a virtual tour in terms of what things to watch out for and how to pick kind of the healthier alternative when you're at the supermarket. And then in the fourth week, we might go into a bit on in terms of healthy cooking skills, ways you can make healthy but quick meals as well, some meal planning tips, and then in the few recipes that you would have received in the information pack, we're going to pick one of the recipes and we'll do kind of a cooking demonstration live. So we'll go through the whole process together and wrap up everything we've learned together in the 4 weeks. If you have any questions during the session, like Robin said, feel free to give me a wave or just type in the chat box and I'm happy to answer them. or we can go through them at the end as well. So that's just the summary of the information pack you received, Robin mentioned. Okay, so a question to put to everyone. What does healthy eating mean to you? So everyone has a bit of a different definition. So I'd be interested to hear what you all think. Anyone wants to share?
Yeah, you'll need to click unmute because everybody's muted once.
Yes, Elizabeth. O'Loughlin.
Hi. I know that you need to have proteins, you need to have a lot of vegetables and a minimal amount of carbs, especially people with diabetes need to go low on the carbs and yeah, just to stay healthy.
Yeah, that's a very good version of healthy eating.
Unprocessed food.
Unprocessed food, yes, Kay?
I noticed there's a lot of emphasis in the chart, in the poster, on eating a lot of carbohydrates, which is, of course, is not always, and also in the following 2 pages, and which would, could be thought as being slightly in contrast with the general healthy eating. I mean, I love carbohydrates, but I'm not sure whether that's, at the same time, the quantity.
That's a very good question. That's a very good comment.
Anyway, it's
No, all kind of versions is welcome. We can definitely go through that in a couple of slides upcoming. And did you have any comments on what healthy eating?
Yes, my daughter has become vegan. She's in her 30s and she's finding it's much better for her gut and her health in general. I'm not vegan, but we have more vegetarian food at home, Mediterranean diet, and I do feel I sleep better. I seem to have more energy, so less actual fatty meats, the red meats. Yeah. But yeah, lots of green leafy vegetables, the coloured vegetables.
Yes, so eating the rainbow.
Yeah.
That's a good one, yeah. Anyone else like to share? Yes, John? You want to unmute yourself? Yes, there you go.
I eat porridge every morning, as I've been told it's quite healthy.
Yes.
But it's not actually listed as one of the grains. And I always have unprocessed, like the traditional oats.
Yes.
Is that too much carbohydrate, or is that a good one? Or
no, oats is a type of grain, so that would be considered a healthy carbohydrate.
Okay.
Anyone else like to share before we kind of go through the next slide?
I've cut out alcohol because I find it dehydrates me and gives me headaches and doesn't help my sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, did you want to add anything else again?
I just want to say, the gentleman who spoke about the rolled oats, I eat also traditional rolled oats, but I was told by naturopath that if you have it with almonds, you've got the protein and the carb, and that will balance it. She even said that just buy almond meal and sprinkle it on your rolled oats for that gentleman. So that's so it's more balanced.
Yep.
Is that good or not, Claire?
Almond meal is a great source of healthy fat. Protein-wise, perhaps like more comes from the milk or the yogurt you might add from the oats. But it's good to get a bit of a balance just so you're satisfied, having a good, satisfied, balanced breakfast. So yeah, you're right, Elizabeth. All right.
So is it not good to have almonds? Okay, so you don't need the almonds, do you?
Oh, it's not necessarily almond specifically, but it is a good source of protein as well as healthy fats.
Okay.
Yeah, to me, I'm an Asian, okay?
Yes,
I prefer balance in diet, Western food and Asian and Eastern food. That's what I go for, diet. Balance, okay?
Yeah, what do you have for breakfast, Irene? Is there something different you have?
Not really. I have milk, yogurt, bread. Sometimes I have congee, Asian congee.
Yes, rice congee, yes.
Yeah, that's why I said I have balance. Not every day the same.
Yeah,
So
yeah, variety is very important.
Yeah,
yes.
give me some variety and interest, not boring every day the same.
Yeah, that's very good.
My diet.
Yes, that's very good. So I think sometimes in the news or the really deep internet kind of shares a lot of things about what healthy eating is. Some people might think that the lower the carbohydrate, the healthier your diet. Some may say that you need to avoid dairy. Some people say you need to go on what they call the keto diet. So there's actually a whole lot of different things. So in today's session, we will go through what we would say is a general guide on what healthy eating is, but everyone's requirements very different because we're all different heights, we're all different gender, we have different nutritional backgrounds, medical history. So it's all really required to tailor according to what your body needs. So recent statistics actually showed that 91.8% Australians over the age of 65 don't eat enough fruit and vegetables. So maybe in the upcoming slides, you might be able to figure out, are you eating enough fruit and vegetables yourself? And before we go into that, what are your barriers to eating well or healthy eating we want to share?
What's the definition of barriers?
So why is it challenging for you to eat a lot of fruit or vegetables or having a balanced diet? So for example, myself, I think for me, it's time. I'm very time poor. So that's always a barrier I have for eating well. As a dietitian, I don't have a perfect diet. So, and that's okay that you don't have a perfect diet as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, Robin?
Lack of knowledge of cooking.
Yeah.
Cooking.
I would say laziness, in terms of, when I read, which I had heard before, but I read the chart, he has 5 different vegetables a day. I never do. I simply never do.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good one.
And all different colors, it's just it's too challenging, I suppose.
It's overwhelming, it sounds like.
It is a bit overwhelming, yeah. So 5 a day and different colors and different consistencies. So yeah, I do have vegetables, but not certainly. I would be in the majority that doesn't have enough, Yeah.
Yes, Elizabeth O'Loughlin. I'm going to call you Elizabeth O'Loughlin because there's another Elizabeth there.
I found red capsicum are really great to introduce into our diets because they're sweet and you just cut them up and you just have them in your fridge. I have some every day, nearly. And it's very good for us. And even Lebanese cucumbers, you can have those just in your fridge. You don't have to have cooked vegetables. The raw ones are great. And yeah.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah.
Do you lose any nutrients by cutting them up and storing them?
It does naturally, fruit as they kind of ripen or as the further they are from peak harvest, the nutrient does slowly kind of escape, but it's very small amounts.
So eat daily would be fine.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So some other kind of sources of barriers could also be because of COVID-19, there might be changing in financial situations, changing in support networks because you're staying at home a bit more, not seeing most of your family. There's a change of routine, obviously. And sometimes if you're going to the supermarket, you're on a budget, you don't know what to start. It's very overwhelming because there's so many options out there. Like Robin said, cooking skills. So that's something we can look forward to maybe in week 4 about how to make meals that's easy, balanced, but doesn't require too much preparation time. Lack of motivation, as well as not sure where to start. So hopefully today I'm going to be able to give you some ideas on how to get started. So what are some other reasons? Oh, sorry. What do you want to say?
No, that's okay. Sounds good.
Okay, all right. So what are some good reasons to have a healthy lifestyle? You have better energy levels. Mentally, you're feeling much more energized. Like Anne might have mentioned, she's feeling a bit better, sleeping a bit better. You have better mood. You protect yourself against chronic diseases. You get to have healthy bones and also teeth, as well as other many health benefits. So I'm going to touch a little bit about risk factors. So this is more related to chronic diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, as well as cancer. So there are some risk factors that we can't change. So this is things like family history, our ethnicity, as well as where we're born, due to some research that has suggested if you're born in things like places like Asia, Middle East, Northern Africa, and Southern Europe, you might be at higher risk of chronic diseases. But there are things we can definitely change. So this includes things like smoking, alcohol consumption, the extra weight around your waist, doing less than 30 minutes of physical activity on most days, as well as dietary factors such as not eating enough fruit and vegetables. So these are all factors we can change to improve our overall health and well-being. So what may a healthy eating look like? So like Franco might have mentioned, that this is the 5 food groups that we are recommended to include in our diet every day. Inclusion of healthy fats. So this includes things like avocados, extra virgin olive oil, almonds, nuts. Those are all good sources of healthy fats. In terms of carbohydrates or fruits and vegetables, it's also important to include a lot of high fiber options. So fiber is a type of carbohydrate that is very good for our bowel health as well. So that we'll touch on in detail in session 2 next week. Limiting foods with a lot of that is overly processed, like Kate mentioned, so too much added sugar, salt. It's also very important to eat a good portion size for your gender, age, and also weight. One thing that we always forget is hydration. So who thinks they drink enough water every day? No?
It depends on the day.
Depends on the day, yes. In general, 2 liters is a good average mark for all of us. So that includes 2 liter bottle of water or around 8 glasses of water every day. So if you think you're not drinking enough water, maybe that's something you can put on your goals for this week.
I believe that for tea and coffee don't count towards that tally.
I would say, depending on how much tea and coffee you're having every day, I would perhaps prefer to count water as the main source of fluid.
Yeah, I do drink water, but I certainly don't drink usually 2 liters a day. It's just, it's one of those.
And you can actually tell whether you're hydrated by the color of your urine. A bit of detail here, but if your urine is quite dark, that means you're a bit dehydrated. You need to drink a bit more water. And if your urine is a bit lighter, that means you're well hydrated, you're on the right track.
Do you drink the same amount in summer and winter?
No, that's a very good comment, because in summer we might be sweating a bit more, so we're losing more water. So we might need a bit more during the summertime.
I think we're more thirsty in summer too.
Yeah, that's right, because we're losing through sweating and as well as we're under the sun a bit more. So that's why we feel that thirst. And then last thing is limiting and avoiding alcohol. I'm not saying to not drink alcohol at all, but just in a few slides later, we go through what is a good standard alcohol serving. So something that we will do in the next 4 weeks is setting goals for yourself every week so we can revisit and initiate really good, healthy habits from here onwards. And this would be, there's actually an information sheet as part of your information pack where you're able to really plan yourself a really good goal to get through you every single week. And I'll go through this, how to set yourself a really smart goal later on. Some example is healthy eating, choosing a variety of healthy foods, higher in dietary fiber, lower in added sugar, sodium, and saturated fat. Or if you think that you're not moving around enough, maybe increasing your physical activity, going for walks more often throughout the week. Or you could set yourself a goal of achieving a healthier weight and waistline. So this is an activity that we're going to go through as we go through the 5 food groups. So maybe have a think about whether you're having too much or not enough. So before I do that, there are 5 food groups. So the first food group is what Franco mentioned, the breads and cereals. So this is actually very important for our body because it's the main source of energy for our brain, and also fiber for healthy digestion. So in this food group, it includes things like your rolled oats, your breads and cereals, your rice, your pastas, your wheat bix, as well as things like your Vita Wheats as well. And then you have your vegetables and fruit on the right-hand side. So your vegetables, it's important because it provides fiber, again, for healthy digestion, but also a lot of vitamins and minerals that's important for body function. In the fruit and vegetable section, it's very important to eat the color of the rainbow. So if you feel like you tend to go for spinach and kale or beans, maybe it's good to incorporate a bit of capsicum and pumpkin just to introduce a bit more variety, because the vitamins actually is more concentrated in different types of colors of fruits and vegetables. So it's important to eat a variety every single day. And then you have your dairy and dairy alternatives. It's okay if you don't drink cow's milk. It's also good to have plant-based sources of milks and dairy, so like soy milk. If you like to drink almond milk, that's all right as well.
I presume that, sorry, Claire,
yeah.
I presume that if you using, like I do, skim milk, as well, that counts for less, I suppose.
No, actually, in skim milk or reduced fat milk, the calcium content is actually the same. The only difference is the amount of saturated fat in it.
The fats have been taken out. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oops.
Can I ask you, I was told that the skim milk, the sugar content is more than the full cream milk. Is it that right? Is it true?
It's more the fat content that is different. So for example, skim milk might have 0% fat, and then normal regular full cream milk has 2% fat.
Yeah, but I'm just asking for the sugar content. Is the skim milk, the sugar content is higher than the full cream milk? No,
it actually is the same.
Actually the same, because sometimes when I go to the supermarket, I saw the label there, that I found this a difference. Skim milk, the sugar content is higher than the full cream milk.
It really depends on the brand.
Can I just say, sometimes just the proportion, if you take a percentage of something out, the proportions of everything else goes up marginally. So.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good, it's a good explanation, Robin.
Yeah, a lot of brands like to market their products to be better than the other version, just so it makes you misunderstand that it's the healthy alternative, when some people, it's okay to enjoy full cream milk. I have nothing against it. And it's all how we prefer how our body feels, as well as what our body requires. So other than dairy and dairy alternatives also includes things like cheeses, as well as yogurts as well. And then the last group is your fats and oils. Oops. Fats and oils. So this is like your extra virgin olive oil, butter, or canola oil, these oils that we use in our cooking. And we will actually go through this in detail next week. So
could I just ask what you think of the Heart Active milk?
Heart Active milk, yeah, that's a very good milk to have.
That's good. Thank you.
So in the group of vegetables, for healthy aging around your age group, around 5.5 to 5 serves is what we require every single day. You might think, wow, 5, that's actually a lot. So what does 1 serve look like? So 1 serve is half a cup of cooked. So for example, I have half a cup here. If you have maybe 5 of these every single day, that means you're eating enough vegetables. Generally, I say if you're having at least vegetables in lunch and dinner, you're on track with your vegetable requirements. It's a bit different with raw salads or raw vegetables, just because they're not cooked and they haven't shrunk. It's 1 cup for 1 serving. And then on this slide here, it shows you really well, if you do not have cups at home, that's all right as well. Your hand is a good indicator. So 1 cup could also translate into 2 palm size, or 1 palm size of your hand for chopped up vegetables. And then you might be thinking, what about starchy vegetables? Does it include into this food group? If we're talking about food groups, yes, things like corn, potato, sweet potato, they also count as vegetables as well.
Mm-hmm.
So who thinks, yes, Franco?
Just to back on this, so looking at the vegetable, I saw it in the chart, but for people like me, I'm over 70, the recommended number of serves, 5 a day of those. So that's in that quantity. That's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
Well, it's a lot simply because you have to prepare more, you have to organize more.
Yeah, and we will go through in the next couple of sessions, how do we achieve that easily? So,
okay, good, thank you.
Feel reassured that you won't feel lost going out of this. Yes, Elizabeth?
I wanted, sorry if my Wi-Fi falls out all the time, but anyway, I want to ask, I virtually have 1 main meal a day, but I have lots of cauliflower and lots of broccoli, and I've been eating a little bits of eye fillet because I want to get healthy and not really much carbs, but all the other vegetables, and I tend to have it more in 1 meal. Is that too bad? That's bad, and I should have. I will eat a second meal, but it'll be mostly veggies then. Is it too much cauliflower and broccoli?
It doesn't matter. If you feel like frequent meals, small meals across the day works for you, then I think that's perfect.
No, but I had a big meal, like 1 big meal with lots of cauliflower and stuff.
Claire, this is really...
Yes, John?
Sorry, I'm just going to say this is really good, because for years I've heard about so many serves and I've never been able to find out what a serve really is. So this is great. Thanks.
Oh, that's good to hear.
It's
actually, it may a bit less than what we might think. So if you're chopping up some carrots, for example, for your dinner tonight, if you have a cup handy, maybe just have a visual look at how many cups of carrots you've prepared yourself. And you might think, actually, I'm pretty on track of what a serve or 2 serves look like.
Yeah, great.
Elizabeth, to answer your question, if you feel like 1 meal, a big meal a day is works for you, then I think that's very good if you can fit all your vegetables and all at once. But if you feel like you're not feeling satisfied or you're getting hungry very quickly, it's always a good idea maybe to spread your meals across the day to avoid that from happening. All right, so for fruit. For fruits, we require around 2 servings for all our age groups. So 1 serve is like a medium-sized fruit like a orange, or 2 small fruits, 2 small kiwis, or if you're having stewed fruit or fruit from a can, it is around 1 cup of chopped fruit. So like watermelon or rock melons, if you chop them up, 1 cup is equivalent to 1 serve. If you have the diced fruit in that comes in a can, or like those SPC containers, I do recommend to have them in juice instead of syrup, just because the added sugar content is very significantly different. Anyone think they eat 2 serves of fruit every day?
I probably do now.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah?
Maybe 3 every 2 days.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's on your to-do list to get 2
Yeah,
serves
on my
in.
to-do list.
I have nearly every day a small avocado. Is it too much?
Avocado, that's a very good question. Is it a fruit or a vegetable?
It's not on your list.
Yeah, avocado, I would say it's a fruit, so you can count it as a fruit.
Yeah, what I'm thinking, am I have too much per day? Each I have 1 per day. Because I like avocado.
No, I think if you're able to fit 1 avocado in your diet today, that's a very good source of healthy fats. So that's really good for your joint health, which we'll talk about next week.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right. So the next one about carbohydrates that I think we're dying to get to know more about.
Yes.
So breads and cereals. So how much do we require every day? It actually decreases a bit as we age, possibly because research suggests that we're not moving around as much and our body is actually not utilizing the energy from the carbohydrate as much as well. So when we talk about 1 serve of breads and cereals, it's like 1 slice of bread, half a cup of cooked pasta or rice or noodles and rice noodles and quinoa. If you have, for example, cooked oats in the morning, half a cup is considered 1 serve as well.
Mm-hmm.
So at the bottom of this slide, you can see the different serving sizes of those carbohydrate containing foods.
Mm.
Anyone feel like they're not eating enough or having a bit too much?
What if you have bread
Too much.
like toast for breakfast and then maybe have a sandwich at lunchtime? That would be 3 slices of bread.
Yeah, that would be 3 serves. Yeah.
Okay. And then you could have porridge. What about all bran? I often have that in the morning instead of porridge. I alternate because all bran's got lots of fibre, hasn't it?
Yes, that's right. And in session, actually in week 3, we will actually go through how to look for a really good fibre cereal. So that's something we can look forward to.
Okay.
Sourdough bread.
Is there any difference? Are you better to eat sourdough or wholemeal than white?
I would generally say wholemeal, whole grain is the better option, just because there's a bit more fibre in there and it's better for our digestion.
Right. So there's no benefit in having sourdough, you don't feel?
Oh no, sourdough is a very good source of bread because it has some fermentation, it has some extra fibre in there compared to your refined white breads.
Right. Thank you.
Anybody else feel like they have any comments? Yes, John.
With the bread, it says 1 serving of bread, but if you weigh it, some servings are 30 grams and some are 60 grams. So is there a particular weight of bread that one should have per slice?
That's a very good question. In general, rule of thumb, around 15 to 20 grams of 1 slice of bread is considered a regular slice. I do understand that sometimes things like sourdough or how thick they cut the bread, that might change. So if you do weigh your own bread, around 15 to 20 grams is what I consider as a regular slice.
Thank you.
All right, so for the next group, we have our meats and protein. Kind of Elizabeth said, healthy eating is important because we need a lot of protein in our diet. So 1 serve of protein is 65 grams of cooked lean meat. So this includes your beef, lamb, pork, or 80 grams of poultry, so like your chicken, 100 grams of cooked fish fillet, 2 large eggs, or legumes and lentils, so your mixed beans, those count as protein sources as well. Or if you have tofu, a deck of cards is usually what we consider 1 serve of protein. Or at lunchtime, if you have tuna, for example, in your sandwich, 10 of these would be considered 1 serve. of protein.
So can you say that again, please, Claire? A tuna at lunchtime? Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, if you have, for example, a tuna sandwich at lunchtime,
Yes.
then this would be considered 1 serve of protein or meat.
1 serve. And you need, looking at the recommended, 2.5, 2 or 2, etc., depending on the gender and age, I suppose.
Yes, that's right.
So, but again, another lady asked a similar question in a different context before, but I think it was Elizabeth, was talking about eating her cauliflower, etc. So you could actually mix and match and have more of one than another, obviously, wouldn't you? As long as you sort of more or less meet that requirement of protein.
That's
right. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
All right, so, and then the next one is our dairy. So as we do age, we actually need a bit more dairy than, for example, I may not need as much dairy because bone health is very important for your age group. So 1 serve of dairy is 1 cup, so 250 mils of milk. And it's important if you do have things like almond milk, soy milk, it's important that it is calcium fortified because these plant-based milks naturally do not contain any calcium. So for good bone health, which we'll talk about in detail next week, it's important to have good sources of calcium from your milks. Other sources of dairy is like 2 slices of cheese, so 2 credit card slices, half a cup of soft cheese if you like ricotta, or 3/4 cup of yogurt.
So, okay. So,
we're having far too much cheese, I'm afraid.
It's all variety and balance, so that maybe that's something you can think about in the next week.
Yeah. Claire, what reduced fat cheese would you recommend?
Sorry,
I don't buy reduced fat. You
don't buy reduced fat?
No, I just buy normal. I like vintage cheese, like I get it in Coles. It's just a stronger tasting because I thought reduced fat might have less flavour.
Okay, that's a very good question. The reason why we would generally recommend reduced fat in general because normal cheeses might contain higher saturated fat, and for heart health as well as other health requirements as well, it's better to have less saturated fat in your diet. We will be going into detail in this next week as well, so that's something we can talk about and revisit.
Right.
And then, yes.
I just wonder why the coffee is included here, milk coffee.
Yeah, so if you have a flat white or like a latte that contains milk, that can be considered as a dairy for you as well.
So if you had 4 small coffees and they're flat whites, that'll do. I'm just being sort of facetious maybe, but I just ask it for the concept, you know.
A short answer, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Claire. You just saved my day.
Yes, more coffees for us. All right.
Is it necessarily coffee every day?
No, you don't have to drink coffee every day. If you like tea or you like just plain water, I'm more than happy with that as well.
Because I can't take coffee. And I like coffee, but I can't take it because it wakes me up all the time. I can't sleep at night time if I drink coffee.
Yeah, everyone's tolerance to caffeine is very different. But coffee is an example of dairy if you happen to have it in your diet.
But really, I like it. I like coffee, but doesn't matter. I can't sleep.
Where is the problem? Please keep me up to date. Lots of love. Bye.
So in summary, these are all the food groups that we have should include in our diet every day. In that resource information pack that Robin has sent through, it would have a summary of all this. So it's something you can revisit and think about where you are missing out on, or you can adjust. Who thinks they're very close to what we would call a healthy diet, or including all the 5 food groups?
Maybe.
I'm trying to get better.
Yeah. Oh no, it sounds like we're all on track.
Probably have a bit too much bread. Have to look into it closely, and a bit more variety. We tend to eat the same foods, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Happy with that. It's routine.
Yeah,
so that's why it's useful to look at recipes and inspiration, that sort of idea.
Yeah, and we can definitely revisit that as well. Very good. So well, on to a little bit about salt. So why is salt potentially a problem? You always think about don't have anything too salty or go for your low sodium options. Salt does have an effect on increasing water retention, increases high blood pressure, and also increases your risk of heart-related disease such as stroke and heart attack. So who here thinks that they might have a bit too much or not salt in their diet?
Is it because a lot of things you buy, like ketchup and various things you might put on, have salt added, a lot of sodium?
Yeah, that's right.
And sometimes when you're eating something, you might add extra salt to it just to give more flavor. I don't put it in cooking always. But
it's
do
a lot
men
of hidden salt.
Men need the same as women? Because my husband tends to use more salt or like salt more than me.
No, we're generally have the same, I would say around 1.5 tablespoon is 1.5 teaspoon is what we should have every day.
That's not a lot then, is it?
No, but it depends as well. If you do have an underlying heart condition, we do recommend around 1,000 milligram of sodium. So this is not salt, sodium. And in our week 3 virtual supermarket tour, we will go through how to read a label to identify which one is a better, lower salt alternative.
Good, thank you.
Just to answer your question, Anne, these are all products that do have salt in them.
Oh, they do, don't they?
That we may not realize.
Like the tomato paste. Better to use proper tomatoes.
Yeah.
And the soy sauce.
Breads actually have salt.
You can buy salt reduced tomato paste and soy sauce. Yeah.
That's right. And cheeses as well. If you have cheese, some cheese naturally do have salt in order to solidify and taste like cheese, as well as your Devon, as well as the Frankfurts, salami, etc. Those contain salt as well. And also if you do a lot of stew cooking or use like the Campbell's stocks, those ones do contain added salt in it for the flavor.
Almost everything that you buy that's pre-prepared has got a lot of salt in it.
Yeah, that's right. And it's also, they put salt in it to ensure it remains shelf stable.
Right.
So research statistics does show that 15% of Australians do add salt in your cooking or at the table. So you maybe think about whether you do that yourself. Fresh foods obviously naturally contain less salt than packaged, processed and preserved foods. But there is naturally a bit of extra salt in foods. For example, seafood, they do highly have sources of salt, but that I think we're more focused on the packaged goods rather than the natural food sources.
And Claire, when that first slide where it says average Australian, 75% of sodium in like soy sauce or paste, what is average Australian? Is that the average person would use these products and these products have 75% sodium? I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, so that's a very good question, Anne. So this actually means that 75% on an average Australian, 75% of their sodium intake comes from packaged foods.
Oh, I see. Right, that's a high percentage, not just by adding salt to your cooking. It's 75% comes from packaged foods.
Yes, that's right. And then this next slide says 50% of your daily sodium or salt intake comes from cooking or at the table.
Yeah.
And then the 10% comes from naturally in your diet.
Awesome. Okay.
And then so in week 3, when we do that supermarket tour, we'll go this in detail, but these are some sources of packaged products that are lower in sodium. So for example, in these, if you do these for packaged canned vegetables or beans, it should say no added salt in them.
Yes, I noticed that the Campbell real stock was also on another slide. So is that?
Yeah, that one actually had salt added to it. This one at the top of the chicken says salt reduced.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Yeah, or if you're doing a bit of spaghetti bolognese or a tomato-based dish, maybe go for like a diced tomato can instead of the tomato sauce.
Yeah, yeah.
So in order to add flavor, what can you do? You can add more herbs and spices, lemon juice, onion and garlic, chili, as well as vinegar as well. So these are all natural flavors you can add to your meals. Another tip is perhaps put the salt shaker away from the dining table. Avoid using it in cooking. And you might think, oh, my food's going to taste bland, but it does take 4 to 6 weeks for your taste buds to get used to the new change. So once you start removing salt from your diet, in 4 to 6 weeks, your taste buds will adapt to that change.
Oh, that's useful tip. Thank you.
Yeah. And you're probably thinking, can I get Himalayan pink salt? Can I get, I don't know, salt from the deserts, etc.? Is that a bit better? If we're talking about salt, they're all salt at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how fancy or where it's coming from. So we're on to sugar. We actually also, similar to salt, unintentionally have a lot of sugar in our diet. Having too much sugar can contribute to unintentional weight gain. It impacts our dental health, increases our risk of chronic diseases, and over half of Australian adults actually exceed the recommended intake of added sugar. And this mainly comes from your soft drinks, your sugar beverages. So in terms of where most of our added sugar comes from our diet, if you add sugar to your tea or coffee in the morning, if you have yogurt and have a fruit infused or added into your yogurt, that could be an example of added sugar. Even though it might say it's with passion fruit syrup or strawberry puree. Sometimes they do add your white sugar in it to make it even sweeter than the natural fruit. Ice cream, if you have lollies, and obviously your soft drinks as well. So there are also hidden sugars that you may not realize that it might be in your diet. So if you have quick oats that has a bit of, not your traditional oats, but your quick oats that might be honey flavored or brown sugar flavored, those types of instant oat packets often contain added sugar. Other things like ketchup or tomato sauce does contain added sugar as well. Some types of cereals, dressings, as well as if you have any muesli bars, those contain added sugar as well. And in week 3, when we do go through our supermarket tour, I'll show you how to identify a better, a healthier alternative on how to find those hidden sugars and pick a healthier option. Did anyone find that it was shocked to see that there's actually so much added sugar in our pantry?
No. I think our grandfathers or grandmothers, they didn't have all these processed foods, did they? They cooked everything from scratch every day.
Yeah, I think now everything's all about convenience, shelf stable. That's why we get all these hidden ingredients. So it's important to get yourself aware of where it's all coming from. So if you're thinking about what about sugar? Oh, yes, Elizabeth, what's your question?
I have a question.
I was going to say that I saw a program where they showed 3, like one aisle, complete left side and right side, in the back of the aisle, and they said how much of this has sugar, and it was like 75% of all the grocery items had sugar included, and apparently that came in when sugar was given the green light 40 years ago in America, and the sugar companies went for it.
Yeah, and I think
so there's a bit of
interesting space at the moment that there is a proposal for sugar tax for companies, just so Australians are a bit more aware about where sugar is coming from.
Yeah, it's in everything, mayonnaise, everything. It's in everything.
Yes. John and
my wife, Helen.
Okay. I've been juicing in the mornings for breakfast. I've put celery, beetroot, ginger and carrots and pineapple. And it makes a really nice juice.
Cold press.
Cold press juice.
Yes.
Now, I believe that's you're drinking the sugars of the vegetables. Is that correct?
So this leads to our next slide. Your natural sugars are okay. So we're more talking about your added sugar. So white sugar, brown sugar, or honey, golden syrup, brown syrup, those types of things are considered added sugar because they need to be manufactured and processed.
But the juicing's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, that's right. So your natural sugars that come from your milk, your yogurts, your plain yogurts, and your fruits are considered okay.
Thank you.
And in order, other than those natural sources, you can choose lower salt alternatives. So for example, yogurt, go for a plain yogurt or a no added sugar yogurt. If you like peanut butter on your toast, go for one that has more peanuts in the peanut butter, or it says no added sugar or salt. Or if you like popcorn, instead of getting a caramel popcorn, go for a plain popcorn. And for oats, go for a traditional oats instead. And we'll obviously go through this in detail in week 3 on how to identify these lower sugar alternatives. And in terms of drinks, I do recommend you go for more lower sugar drinks. So soda water, sparkling water, make your own juices like John and Helen has, or going for herbal tea, green tea. Coffee does count as a lower sugar alternative compared to like a chocolate milk that you might buy at a supermarket or a Lipton tea, for example. Any questions here so far?
What about having lemon in your water? Is lemon bad for your teeth? Sometimes I do that in the morning.
If you have a slice in your water, for example, in the morning, that is considered all right. It's something that's a very good question you ask, because lemon's actually very high in acidity. If you have too concentrated of a lemon juice, for example, it does cause decay to your teeth over time.
Is lime better or orange? Would orange be better, like later in the evening, if you just want a water drink? Put some orange or mint or lime?
Any of those would be fine. Yeah. Okay. And then we're going to alcohol. So we might like a glass of wine sometime in the evening. So the general recommendations to not have more than 4 standard drinks in any one day, or no more than 10 standard drinks in a week. So a standard drink is 100 ml of wine. So depending on how full you fill up your wine glass in the evening, 100 ml is considered one standard drink. Anyone feel like they may usually pour a bit more than what we say 100 ml looks like in your wine glass if you do have a drink in the evening?
It was very low.
Yes. It's very small in a wine glass, or depending on the size of the wine glass, but it's actually...
But also if you add, I suppose, in that recommendation slide, 4 standard drinks and on any one day, means that you can't have 4 standard drinks every day, because that goes over 10.
Yes.
That's very limiting.
Alcohol is good. There are some health benefits, but in the long run, it does impact your overall health, such as your chronic disease risk factors, such as heart disease, diabetes, etc.
No, I don't think so.
100 ml.
So a summary of all that is that eat from the 5 food groups. So refer back to the
chart,
the poster you have. So if you like a physical copy of these, you feel free to message Robin, and you can post this on your fridge to remind you that eat more of the rainbow, just so you have a bit more variety in your diet. Include plenty of fruit and vegetables, swap high salt foods for lower salt alternatives, choose foods that have lower added sugar and salt, and limit your alcohol intake.
Okay.
So something that may be a bit of a homework, or something I like you to think about for the next week before we meet again next Thursday, is setting yourself a goal so we can start some healthy changes. I like to say make a SMART goal. So what does it mean by SMART? It is specific. So what do you want to happen? It's measurable. How do you know if you've achieved the goal? Attainable. Is it realistic? Is it, will you be able to accomplish it? Is it relevant? Whether your goal is important to you, and give yourself a bit of a deadline. So maybe next Thursday or next month, just so you give yourself a bit of a target to work towards. So an example of a good SMART goal is, for example, I will buy a salt-reduced baked beans at my next grocery shop and have them instead of my regular baked beans if you happen to have it every Tuesday. Or I will add berries into my morning oats instead of sugar starting from tomorrow onwards. So they're very specific and realistic goals you can work on. Another one is I will not put a salt shaker on my dinner table starting from tonight onwards. So you know that you won't be doing that from tonight onwards. Does anyone have, from this, like to share maybe what your SMART goal is for the next week?
I would say less sugar, but not putting the salt on the table. That would be good for me.
Yeah.
But I have one question. When you say berries, if you can't find fresh berries in winter because they're so expensive, what about frozen berries? Because if you have frozen raspberries or mango, they always taste really sweet. So do they have extra sugar in them?
Very good question. So frozen berries or frozen fruit is equally as healthy as the fresh ones.
Okay.
They're actually snapped at peak harvest. So in terms of vitamins and minerals, they're actually more rich and abundant in frozen than fresh. Because in fresh, it might have been in a warehouse for a few days. It's traveling on the truck. It might have taken a few days before it gets to the supermarkets. So if you feel like frozen berries or frozen fruit is easily accessible and helps you get your 2 serves daily, by all means, go for it.
What about like frozen peas and sweet corn? Is that also just as good because they're been frozen straight away?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. I mean, some things that are frozen don't taste like beans or a mixture. You know, when you buy the carrots and the beans, they always, you can overcook them, I think, because they come out a bit watery.
That's right. And some products do have, I think rather than fresh frozen vegetables and fruit, some other packaged frozen goods might have added sugar in them. But you can always look at the back of the information label and check that out.
Okay.
Anyone else like to share what their SMART goal is for next week? Yes, Helen?
I have ice cream for dessert every night. I think I might just swap it for yogurt.
Yeah, that's a very good one. And if you feel like it's not realistic to completely switch out to yogurt entirely, maybe you can alternate just so you're building yourself a bit of flexibility there.
I think I'd have to cut down on the bread. I do like my bread.
Do you feel like you're having, is it because you feel hungry or it's just a taste preference you have there, Kay?
Probably the taste preference, yeah.
Taste preference, yeah. So maybe you can swap that half, maybe the amount of bread you're having, and swap it out for something similar, just so you're able to still feel satisfied. For example, it could be corn instead or potato. So it's a form of vegetable in your diet.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so we've set some good SMART goals, and at the beginning of next week, we're going to revisit them and see how you've gone. All right?
Yeah.
So a bit of a, before we go into questions, more questions, a bit of a preview of what's happening next week. We're going to talk a bit about bone health, joint health, as well as bowel health. So we'll talk a bit about calcium, vitamin D, healthy fats or unhealthy fats. Am I having a bit too much, or where am I missing out on, as well as dietary fiber? What's that all about, and how much do you need every single day?
Thank you.
Any questions? Do you have any more questions? I know we talked a lot of different things this session, so feel free to ask me if you want to clarify anything at all. Yes, John and Helen.
Having
You're
bread,
muted. Oh.
because I also like bread. can you substitute it with crackers, say rice crackers or rye beaters or Vita wheats?
Yeah, you can do that.
And what's the equivalent?
That's a very good question. For example, Ryvita, I don't have a package with me, but with Ryvita, it does say at the back what 1 serve of Ryvita is. Usually it says 2 crackers, for example. And for example, the carbohydrate section of the nutrition information label, kind of similar to what I said, regular breads, 15 grams to 20 grams of carbohydrate. Maybe look out for how much your cracker weighs. And then 15 grams is equivalent to 1 serve.
That's great. Thank you.
My husband wants to know if prunes are all right.
Yes, prunes are a great source of fruit. So do you get the fresh prunes or you get the prunes in syrup or juice?
No, we cook them ourselves just with water, no sugar.
Yes, no, that's excellent. That would be a fine source of fruit.
And how many would be a serve?
So that would be, with prunes, once you've stewed it, maybe around half a cup is equivalent for 1 serve fruit.
Good. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Elizabeth? You've mute yourself, unmute yourself.
The Wi-Fi keeps falling out, so I have to keep unmuting, sorry. Okay, so for the people who like bread, there's a Lawson's whole grain. It's a grain bread in a yellow packet, not the whole meal that's got no grain in it, not the whole meal, but the Lawson's, it's a grain bread with some yellow and brown, the outside, 2 types. So that's great than a normal bread, but you'll find you have 1 slice, and you probably only have, if you have bread twice a day, you'll have it 1 each time. And not only it's just so much, it's nicer, and you don't feel hungry, because if you start going, I tried crackers and all these kind of things, they're not filling and you think you haven't had enough. So you eat more crackers, which is not good. So I found it's definitely the Lawson's grain one with a little bit of yellow on the packet and it's brown, but not the whole meal one bread. So
that's a very good
the grain. It's then as Claire.
Yeah, and in our virtual supermarket tour in week 3, in 2 weeks' time, I will show you how to look for a higher fiber bread alternative, just so you're feeling more satisfied with that 1 slice or 2 slices of bread, depending on what you feel like. Any other questions before we wrap up?
No, it's great. Lots to think about.
Lots to think about, yes.
And to work on. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yes, Elizabeth? One last question.
I just wondered, because I know Franco.
Sorry?
I know Franco's having problems with extra fibre or veggies and things. So the large can of Edgell sliced beetroot.
Oh, yeah.
What I do, because that's got iron and everything, I tend to not eat as many cooked veggies, but I buy that and I will tip the whole can into a container in the fridge and just take out a slice of beetroot, leave it in the juice. I even drink the juice. I don't know if that's good, but anyway. And you've got that variety. 1 more extra, Franco, for you. Along with that red capsicum, maybe
the large can of Edgell's beetroot.
Yeah, and maybe some Lebanese cucumber. They're really nice, sliced and eaten with touch of salt, you know. And that's 3 more different veggies for you.
The other one is Lebanese cucumber. What do you do with it?
What, eat it?
No,
what do you mean, Lebanese cucumber?
I mean, it's just like another cucumber, I suppose.
But the beetroot it's got iron, and if you're feeling a bit fatigued and things, you have beetroot, and you don't have to cook it. So it's a big can.
Okay.
Next time I'll show you the can. And I have plenty in my pantry. So you can keep them as long as you want. And then you tip it out and put it in your fridge, and you can eat it for 2 weeks.
Right.
Very good tips from Elizabeth.
Well, it's because I've got anemia and I need iron sometimes. And yeah.
Yeah. But if you do, for everyone else, if you are suspecting you're feeling lethargic or fatigue, it's always good to go back to your GP to see what else is going on. It's always good to have a health check and see what's happening.
Okay.
All right. So lovely to meet everyone today.
Thank you, Claire. Yeah. Thank you. And thank you, Robin. Thank you, Robin.
Yes. Yeah, my pleasure. It was.
Are we automatically enrolled in all the other 3 now?
Just to say, Robin, I don't think I received the introductory email.
All right.
If you're able to resend that to Anne, if you've got my email there, Anne Holland.
Yes.
And if I could get one in the post, I'll then send you my details, because it'd be good to put one up on the fridge for later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's just that we're not really going into work at the moment, but I will get there, and I will get to, so probably towards the end of next week, I think.
Okay, thank you. If you don't mind just sending the email one through first, that would be a start.
Yeah, I will do that. And anyone else didn't get that email?
Lovely to meet you all.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very much.
See you all next week.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Claire.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Robin.
Thanks, Robin. I'll see you next week as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye now. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. See you later.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Pleasure.
No worries.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, that was very good, Robin. I'll just see you again next week, and I've sent the hard copies out, so you should receive the council shortly.
Brilliant. So I will try and go in there towards the end of next week or whatever, and try and get them out. We have had a couple of